And now, you're tuned in to RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's Reveler Sports.
What's up, RBLR Nation? Hope everyone's having a great week, good weekend, good weekday, good night, day, wherever you're tuning in. It's another week of Bucs football. Minicamp started this week. Finally, something's getting going. There's a lot to talk about around the NFL, but specifically with the Bucs as well. Before we get into all of that, I'd like to introduce my wonderful co-hosts, Musab Tariq and Zach Blaine. Say what's up to everyone. Musab, you can go first.
Don't mind if I do. Yeah, no, I mean, happy to be back at it again with the boys. And as you mentioned right now, Carter, yeah, we finally got something going on now, so that kind of, keeps you in good spirits. And, there's some talk around town about, updates with our Buccaneers. So I look forward to, discussing with you all tonight.
Absolutely. And Zach Blaine, say hello to everyone, brother.
What's going on, guys? How y'all been? I know I missed last week, but I'm happy to be back, man. I'm not holding in like Devin White is, so we're good.
Holding in, ouch. We'll get into all that. Before we do, I would like to ask the listeners to do us a favor. We are trying to get nominated for the Creative Loafing Best of the Bay. So if you wouldn't mind, there's a link in the description that you can click to vote for us. You got to write us in for Best Podcast. It's under the entertainment section of the voting and then the best podcast section. And then you just got to write in RBLR Sports. So if y'all wouldn't mind doing that. And also you can like and subscribe if you're.
Forget all those true crime podcasts you listen to.
Right.
Forget all the cooking ones. They don't count. It should just be sports, but you know what? We'd already win it. They had to make it a little more difficult for us.
Right. You gotta love a challenge. But anyways, now we'll finally get into the meat and potatoes of the episode. Minicamp. So Devin, as Zach kind of alluded to, Devin White showed up. He is. I haven't really heard anyone officially say he's holding in. He hasn't really participated in anything yet, but minor injuries pop up throughout the offseason. Guys aren't going to just come out and participate in every drill ever. Some guys are doing this just because that's what they're doing. But he showed up. He could have very easily stayed home. He could have very easily, like y'all said, held out, got the fines. He's got enough money. But he showed up. So, got to give him that. Is that a sign that you're maybe a little bit more confident that Devin White is staying, or is this just, he's just avoiding paying the fine? Zach, we'll start with you. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, in my opinion, he's avoiding paying the fines. I think that you nailed it right on the head with that one. I feel like when Todd Bowles came out and said, he's not holding in, he's here. We just want to make sure that I don't remember the exact verbiage that was used, but essentially we want to make sure that he's in a good place and he's physically ready to go. Like, as a pro athlete, I've never understood that coming into a season out of shape or not in playing shape. Like, I know you're not going to be in playing shape, but you should be in good shape. Like, I know I'm allowed to be fat and sit at home because I don't make millions of dollars playing football. But as a pro athlete, I've never understood that. So to me, this is more of I'm going to come so I don't pay the fines, but I still want a contract. So until you guys give me that contract, this is what you're going to get.
Right. The whole I'm not here, or I'm just here so I don't get fined.
I was going to say it brings back Marshawn Lynch vibes. I'm 100%. Just here so I don't get fined.
Well, Marshawn Lynch was doing that at a press conference, not at a practice.
At least he was still playing.
Well, Allen Iverson, practice. We talking about practice. It's that kind of thing. But Musab, how about you? Maybe you're a little bit more optimistic than Zach. Maybe this gives you a bit of a jolt of energy or a renewed faith that Devin White's maybe sticking around or just playing through his contract.
No, I think he's kind of screwed himself over with the way he's been acting. And I think that's why, I actually saw a quote today from Levante David in regards to Devin White saying, he got his emotions got the best of him. I know Devin wants to be here, but, he's just not ready to go right now, which I don't know. I feel like he's not ready to go right now, possibly because of the way he's been acting up and all that. And I think he just did the bare minimum by just showing up. But I don't think this is a sign that he's committed to the Bucs this season. And for me, I have a question for y'all is just that, is this not a bad look, especially with our kind of new team and this guy's attitude? He's one of our star players and, he's showing up like this with no kind of enthusiasm. I don't know. It's kind of like a Debbie Downer for me.
I don't know if I'd go as far to say it's a horrible look, because it's the business side of it. I think every player understands everyone's there. It's a job. We can sit here and talk about the passion and the love of the game, blah, 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 but they're not doing it for free. Like, they're not there showing up to, play football just for the fun of it. They're not gonna do that. So they all understand the business aspect of it. He's trying to get paid. They want him to get paid. None of his teammates are out there trying to, see him get the veterans minimum from another team. No, they want him to get the contract extension. They want him to stick around. It's just unfortunate because, it's just part of the nature of this business. It's part of sports. It's contract negotiations are going to happen. Weird stuff happens when it comes to contract negotiations because it's money. It's a touchy subject. Everyone thinks they deserve to get paid like the best, and unfortunately, not everyone can be the best. So I don't know if I'd say it's a bad look. It's certainly not great. It's not ideal, but I don't know if I would. But I do feel you. It is a bit of a cloud. It's certainly not, like you said, not ideal. But Zach, maybe you're more harsh because y'all are very harsh on it. I'm not necessarily as negative about it. But Zach, go ahead.
I think it's a weird predicament. I don't think that it's a bad look to our team because I think we're lucky enough that, yes, we drafted a lot of defensive guys, but a good chunk of our on the defensive side are returning players. So they know Devin White. Like, obviously, we've got Yaya, we've got Khalija. Like, we've got new guys coming in, but a lot of our guys on defense are returning players who have played with Devin. So I don't think it's necessarily a bad look as far as, like, within the team. Like, I think the chemistry is still going to be there. They're all still friends. They're all still buddies. I do think that it's maybe a bad look on him personally because, like you said, Carter, he wants to get paid like he's the best when in reality he's not. So in my opinion, it almost puts a little bit of a, like, I've said it before, but like a diva persona to him. And I don't know how good that is. I mean, it's probably great for tickets, but I don't know how good it is for new teams.
Sure. Well, Musab, you asked a great question, by the way. Musab, I'm going to throw it right back at you. Do you think it's a bad look? Do you think it's kind of going to ruin team chemistry? Maybe you're a little bit more worried about that kind of thing with this?
Yeah, I think I kind of what I wanted to, maybe I should have changed it up a little bit. I think that, we're kind of on a kind of a new slate. This is it's a whole new kind of team.
Yeah, new
the
era.
kind of vibes. Yeah, it's a kind of a new era and all that. And just to see something like this happen, I don't think it's a very strong influence, but it's just, you said it already, Zach. It's just, like, I don't know if anyone really wants to hang out with the diva. You know what I'm saying? They understand this business, but I mean, how long are you going to keep on doing this? It's one thing if you kind of, chirp a little bit thinking you're the best, but I don't know. We still have plenty of time, so, we'll see what happens, but I'm not super optimistic. I'll tell you that.
I feel you. It's definitely, yeah. I mean, maybe not a bad look for the Bucs, but it's definitely not a good look.
Exactly.
It's definitely not great. So it is a bit of a sticky situation, and it's something that we're going to continue to talk about throughout this offseason because it's a situation that the Bucs have to monitor. So it's going to be interesting to see how they proceed moving forward. Some other news, some kind of minor thing was Rodrigo Blankenship. He was formerly of the Colts. Also a kicker for Georgia. He was brought in for just to bring some kicking competition with Chase McLaughlin. Personally, I was surprised Rodrigo lasted this long. He was a solid kicker. He just had some injury issues the past few seasons.
Exactly.
So I was really intrigued by that. Interestingly enough, both Chase McLaughlin and Rodrigo came from the Colts. Interesting.
Yeah, didn't Chase replace Rodrigo?
Yep, exactly. You're right on the money. So kind of a little quirk there. But moving on to more interesting and thought-provoking things, Dalvin Cook has officially been released by the Minnesota Vikings. It was kind of something that was brewing, kind of in the works throughout the offseason. Everyone was kind of talking about it, but nothing was officially happening. It was kind of like the Lamar Jackson, Aaron Rodgers thing. Just kind of seemed to drag on for a long time, but it's finally official. So Dalvin Cook is a free agent. DeAndre Hopkins has also been released, but I don't know if any of us really expect the Bucs to sign DeAndre Hopkins.
No, he's already. I think he's already narrowed it down to 2 teams.
Exactly. So we're going to focus on Cook because the Bucs running back room is still very much fluid. It's in flux, so to speak. So him and Zeke are still available. Cook and Zeke have both been pretty heavily connected with the Bucs. So which would y'all rather have, Zeke or Dalvin Cook? Or would you rather, so 3 options, I guess, or would you rather just say, nope, screw that. We're just going to stick with the running back room that we have if you're Jason Light. So Cook, Zeke, or just run it back. Zach, we'll start with you. I feel like I already know your answer, but I want to hear
Okay,
it.
see, so listen, all right. I love Zeke. Like I have not hidden that at all. Like I'm a Zeke fan. I think it boils down to how much faith as an organization we have in Rachaad White. I don't think he's a bad running back. Like I think he's going to has the potential to be a solid running back. I don't think that right now he is a number 1 starting running back in the league. So in my opinion, I would love to go after Dalvin Cook. I think he's a difference maker in the backfield. He's had injury history, but I mean, what running back really hasn't, in all honesty? So I think if you go down the route of, do we want a number 1 guy to start pretty much day 1 and be the lead back? If that's the route you want to take, then you're going to want to take Dalvin Cook. That's kind of where my head's at with Cook. If you want someone to pair up as like a dual threat tandem back with Rachaad White, I think Zeke is the perfect back to play that role. So I'm not happy with our running back room right now. I'm taking option 3 and throwing it out the window, in my opinion.
Wow.
But option 1 and 2, I think, are both very viable, and I would be happy with either one of them if that makes any sense.
Sure, I get you. Okay, Musab, how about you? Maybe you're more Team Cook or Team Zeke, or maybe you disagree completely and say, "Oh no, forget all that. We don't want to spend any money," because the Bucs cap situation is disgusting. They have no cap room. They'd have to readjust a lot of contract. So Musab, how are we feeling about this? The 3 options.
That's probably like you just mentioned with the whole kind of cap space right now. That's probably like the only kind of worry I would have as to why we wouldn't be able to get someone like Dalvin Cook. I mean, I'm bigger on Dalvin Cook compared to Zeke, but
sure.
Dalvin Cook said himself, he goes, I want to go somewhere where I feel like I'm really wanted. And I'm gonna tell you this. I mean, that salary expectation is gonna have to change, for sure. But
do you think it will though? Like, are you saying that just as him coming to the Bucs or as an overall player?
That's a good question. I mean, definitely for the Bucs, it's gonna have to change for sure.
Yeah.
But who knows? There could be someone else that would want him. Because I mean, yeah, the guy's stats are amazing, and I just came to realize he actually was kind of coming off like a shoulder injury, yet he still did pretty darn well. So I think he actually mentioned, he was saying, hey, look, I'm actually even healthier now. I plan on being even better than before. So I mean, yeah, I'd love to see him in a Buccaneers jersey, but yeah, with the whole kind of cap space adjustment and all that, it would be a little concerning if we just end up running with Rachaad White, because he has potential, but again, yeah, it's just too early to really kind of, nail it in the coffin as him being, our lead running back.
Sure. Yeah, I think we are all in agreement that the Bucs would be a better team with Dalvin Cook as their starting running back. I don't know that there's any. I guess I should have rephrased the question. Would be, is it worth the amount of headache that they would have to go through with the salary cap, as well as committing whatever type of money that Dalvin Cook would want? I don't necessarily. Sorry, go ahead, Zach.
No, I was just gonna say it's not a headache for me.
Right.
Well, Dalvin Cook running every Sunday, it doesn't hurt my head at all. So I don't care how they do it, as long as we keep our core and can still get him. I mean, I think it's been proven over time, especially with our front office, that the cap space is essentially a myth. Like it can be manipulated in so many ways that I don't think that should ever be a sign to be like, yep, you're definitely not getting him, because our front office has shown it that we can flip this contract, spin this one sideways, and throw it over here, and now we have $30 million in cap space. So 100%. I feel like realistically it might be a headache for them, but I think it would make the fan base happier to see a guy like Dalvin Cook in the backfield.
For sure. And I've heard the 2 names that I've heard mentioned. Greg Allman tweeted about it, who we've had on the show. Shout out to GA. He tweeted about Evans and Barrett's contracts becoming restructured in order to create a bit more cap space, because right now they don't have the room to just pay for they'll be over the salary cap by the start of the season. So they've got to do it regardless of whether they want to bring in Cook or Zeke. But I don't know. I know y'all mentioned how excited y'all were maybe to bring in Zeke or Cook. And if Zeke is more realistic, Zeke is actually a very realistic option for the Bucs, because he's probably going to get the veteran minimum somewhere. I think Cook is headed to Miami. I think I don't want to say it's a done deal, but it seems like it's almost a done deal. They have a running back need. They are competitive right now. They're Super Bowl contenders. They think of themselves that way. So I think Cook is going there. But I think Zeke is he doesn't have a place to go. So I think that I
don't have Miami any more a Super Bowl contender than we are.
Ooh,
I stand by that. That team is not all it's cracked up to be. I know that there's a lot of people that think so. Tua is not that guy. I promise he's not. Everyone's faith in Miami is mind blowing to me.
I don't know. They got Hill and Waddle. They got Ramsey and Xavier Howard. They got a really, really Tua healthy last year was probably one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, other than the big three of Allen, Burrow, and Mahomes. I'm just saying, man, he was really good last year before he started.
He was solid. He was above average.
Before he started getting all the concussions and stuff. But we're getting off track. This isn't a Dolphins show. This is a Bucs show. No, you're good. But anyways, so now that we're talking about Cook and Zeke, are there any other veterans that maybe you'd like to see the Bucs bring in? I know the Devin White situation makes the linebacker position really interesting. So for me, Miles Jack is still a free agent. I don't know how.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's very strange how the NFL has treated Miles Jack, who was at one time a pretty solid linebacker. So I think that I would rather them take a flyer on Miles Jack than either of those two running backs personally, just because I think Devin White's situation is really weird. So I don't know what happens there. But Zach, how about you? Maybe there's some different veterans that you're thinking of to bring in.
I mean, like I've said this some names before, but Taylor Lewan, I think if he decides that he wants to play still, I wouldn't mind having him on the line again at the right price. I believe Yannick Ngakoue is still a free agent.
Yep, him and Jadeveon Clowney are the two big.
Yeah, I don't want Clowney. Clowney is, I think, more of a headache than a solution at any position for us. But Yannick Ngakoue, I think, is still very good. And yeah, I mean, at linebacker, I don't really have anyone like off the top of my head that I'm like, yeah, he's going to be better than Devin White for us. So I guess for me, if Tampa's firm in their stance of we're not trading Devin White, then I think we're okay at middle linebacker right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. If they're really headstrong about it and they really just want to keep him, then yeah, Miles Jack is there's really no reason to bring him in. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely just something worth exploring. There's still a lot of guys out there left. Julio Jones is still available. There are some safeties still available that I think could be interesting, including guys like, Adrian Amos actually just got signed by the Jets, I believe.
Yeah, he just signed with the Jets.
Right, but Logan Ryan's still out there. I mean, I know they just released him, but
he's still serviceable. That's the thing.
For sure, and same with John Johnson. But Musab, how about you? Maybe there's some guys that we haven't mentioned, or maybe there's a guy that we have mentioned that you want to focus on. Any veteran free agents out there that the Bucs could maybe bring in?
For me, I mean, it's just getting any reliable kind of depth piece. From any of those positions. I was thinking more along the lines of the DBs. Adrian almost actually was my guy before I found out about the whole news with the Jets, and so for me, I just think that we need help, in the DB area. I think it's still too early to kind of think about the whole Devin White situation. I don't think that there's a trade partner for Devin White. That's what I'm thinking. So,
I agree.
I'm with you.
Yeah, so that's kind of my thing right there. I mean, whoever we can get, who has some decent past experience, I'll take it, even as you mentioned, like Logan Ryan as well. I know, we just got rid of him, but I mean, yeah, again, he's better than a lot of other guys. So that's where I'm kind of going to stand.
Yeah, and I mean the thing about I love that you mentioned the secondary because they just need bodies at this point. They don't have a lot of active players, so
that's the issue. That's what happened. I think like the year before, like we just had so many guys who were just banged up. At one point we were really counting on people like D. Delaney to save us.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. A couple of years ago when Davis and Dean both went down and they had D. Delaney starting at cornerback, it was like, oh God. Oh man. It was brutal to watch. But yeah, one thing that's not brutal is the RBLR shop. That place. Yeah, definitely check that out. Shop.rblrsports.com. You can type in the promo code Cannon, CANNONS. 10% off your whole order. Definitely check it out. We got the Bring Back the Devil, just Tampa Bay, the Champa Bay, the Lightning, Rowdies, Bucs, Lightning, Rowdies. We got it all. The Rowdies are doing real well right now. The Rays, obviously, they're struggling against the A's, but they're still one of the best teams in baseball. So definitely check it out if you're looking for some fire gear. And of course, the Bucs are on there too. In case you want to support the Bucs and Baker Mayfield and all these guys. So definitely check it out. They got some good stuff on there, and yeah, we'll see. But anyways, now on to the second half of our show. After our shameless shot plug, we're going to focus on some more specific position battles, just because it's the start of minicamp, so there are a lot of things that need to be ironed out. A lot of positions that are kind of up for grabs. So if y'all are thinking in terms of starters, like in terms of not just necessarily just depth pieces. What position do you think is most up for grabs? Which position has the most competition? And you can include quarterback. I'm not going to go with quarterback just because it's kind of an easy cop out. But feel free to do that because it is a good argument. You could argue that has the most competition. But Zach, we'll start with you.
But I mean, is quarterback the biggest competition? Because from everything I'm reading, it's looking more and more like Baker's already got the spot. Like they haven't come out and said it, but everything's looking like Baker's the guy.
100%.
So I think there's not really God, it sounds crazy to say, but we don't have very much competition, especially not in the back or in the defensive backs area because you just mentioned not having the bodies. So it seems like our defensive backs are already set in stone right now. Obviously, anything could happen. We could bring someone else in. But right now, I mean, it seems to be pretty set in stone. Linebackers, as far as inside linebackers, we got Devin White and Levante David. So I guess really some of the biggest competition is going to be on the rushing down players, like any of the rushers. And then I think that number 3 receiver spot is going to be probably the most interesting competition, in my opinion, because I think it could go to anyone. I don't think Russell Gage is set in stone. I'm just excited to see some of the young talent that we have that could potentially take that roster spot.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm with you. I think that the defensive line in general, other than Vita Vea, is very much up for grabs. So yeah, I think, but I will say that I think the nickel position is going to be something.
Yeah, that's
because who knows? I mean, we don't, because they've been very clear that Antoine Winfield Jr. is going to stay in the safety position. He's not going down to the slot anymore. That was what he was doing last year. They didn't like it, I guess. I don't know.
Now, I will say I've been hearing stuff about how much better Zion McCollum is looking.
Ooh, I would love to see Zion McCollum have a successful second year.
I hope so. I would be super pumped for him. I'm not sure how much to read into it, but I have seen them saying that he looks more poised. He looks more relaxed. He looks like he knows what he's doing. So maybe that is a good spot. I didn't even think about the nickel spot.
For sure. I mean, a Zion McCollum breakout season would be fantastic for a 6th round pick.
We could use it.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. But Musab, how about you? Maybe you're thinking more on the offensive side of the ball. I know the offensive line is a pretty intense position for the competition with the 2nd round pick. But what about you? What's the most up for grabs position that you're thinking?
Yeah, I'll probably say, I mean, honestly, the way I kind of feel about it is, looking at our starters and then the backups. I mean, I think there's a lot more competition for these backups to kind of be a kind of vital, role player on the field, whenever needed be. But I would probably say if there's any position I would have to choose, I'd probably say the offensive line, just because, a lot of these guys we didn't know beforehand and all that. Now we got Luka Dickey, who's going to be starting again. We got the guy in the second round, Cody Mock. And then just the way I feel about it overall is I think it's definitely going to be up for grabs. I definitely see maybe we try some rotations out or something. But I got to say, I'm honestly kind of looking forward to seeing how these rookie defenders, what they do or something, because I feel like some of them might really stand out or something. So we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. The rookie defenders is a great point because, like me and Zach were talking about too, the defensive line, like they've got Yaya and Kalijah, so those two rookies are going to play really big, just in the rotation or maybe trying to get a starting spot. So it's going to be really interesting to see how those guys, do in minicamp and moving forward. So we'll definitely have to kind of take a look at that and keep an eye on it because. The Bucs pass rush has been pretty mid. It's been pretty blech the past couple of years.
That's a good word to describe. Bleh.
Yeah, I know. Shaq got hurt last season. They were dealing with a constant just in and out. JTS hasn't been great. So I'm definitely looking for that defensive line, especially the edge rush position. I think that's going to be a really competitive stuff. Coming out of training camp and so on and so forth. So obviously the quarterback position is the most important position in football or important position in football, obviously. So that position, whoever they choose, obviously it seems like Baker, but who knows? Crazier things have happened. But other than that position, what do you think the most important decision that the Bucs have to make this offseason in regards to position battles, like who's going to take over which position? Is there a specific spot that y'all have in mind? Zach, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I don't have necessarily a spot in mind because I wasn't like the most important decision I think is determining what's going to happen with Devin White. And I say that, like I said, I know it's not a position per se, but if he's not going to play this year, then that's going to give Servassier Dennis an opportunity. And I think that we almost need to be preparing him to be the starter. Obviously, if Devin White is in and he's going to be there, like there's no competition there right now. Right. But if we're going to decide that he's not going to be playing and we're going to need something, I think the most important thing for them to do is get Servassier Dennis ready to go as if he were going to be the day one starter.
Sure. Yeah. Up to speed, so to speak. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Definitely get him involved with the playbook because the linebacker position hasn't had any change since Devin White got here.
Yeah.
Since they drafted him, it's been him and David kind of locking up those two spots in the middle of the field. And they've done great jobs. They were captains. They've been a big part of this defense. So I'm definitely with you. The linebacker position, assuming Devin White's situation continues to be weird, is probably going to be one of the bigger ones to decide whether they go with Dennis, like we mentioned, or if they bring in someone to kind of juice up the competition a little bit. But Musab, how about you? Maybe you're thinking more offensive line again because last year the offensive line was so bad. Maybe you're like, oh, God, they need to fix that. Otherwise, this offense is going to be among the worst in the NFL because Tom Brady's not here. They're not going to be a good passing team. And if the offensive line sucks, they won't be a good running team either. So how about you, Musab? What's the most important position battle you're looking at?
I would probably have to go with the defense again. I just think that, the attitude I feel like, the Buccaneers organization should have is, from the start kind of, letting these guys know that, if you're not showing up and all that, you're going to be on the chopping block. All right. Because again, looking at, JTS, I feel like, we were expecting more out of him. Imagine, getting a guy like Logan Hall and then boom. Now you got Cansey, you know what I'm saying? So clearly something's not working out, or maybe, I don't know, that's maybe their plan or whatever. They want to see what happens. But I like that pick with Dennis, Zach. There's a chance that, he could get that starter role, and that could be big. But I'll probably just say that is, if anything, I mean, a little bit of the offensive line, but more on the kind of defensive side, with the pass rushing and all that. I think it's time to kind of, hold guys accountable and see what can they actually do and who actually wants to show up and ball out, it's a fair game for a lot of these guys, especially these young studs or whatever, or these rookies. You know, we got a lot of them right now. Obviously, a lot of them are probably not going to end up, you know, being with us or whatever. But I feel like there's a sense of kind of motivation for the younger guys compared to before.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean it's a lot more open than the past couple of years because Brady's not there. They're not a Super Bowl contender. They're kind of in this shifting mode. We don't know if they're rebuilding. We don't know if they're still competitive. So it's very much like you said, the young guys have a chance to steal a starting job. And sorry, Zach, go ahead. I can say.
No, I was gonna say it's almost more fun this way.
That's true.
Like,
yeah.
To an extent, I'm not excited for next season, but the more that we sit here and talk about it, I'm like, we really don't know who could be starting next season.
For sure.
So it's interesting to see and interesting to be able to hear some of this stuff about some of these players that maybe we haven't even heard of yet. So I'm getting more and more pumped up about this season as we go into this offseason.
Absolutely. Yeah, you and me both, man. Yeah, that was a great point we saw. The young guys definitely have a big opportunity here to kind of make a difference. So speaking of, we were kind of talking about it. Is there any guy?
The expectations aren't high.
Right.
It's just you know, we're going to be in for a treat. That's what it is. You know, hopefully we see something happen. You know, at least we do somewhat mediocre or decent, I guess. But again, I mean, yeah, I don't have high expectations, but I do expect to kind of see a show just within our team. You know, these guys battling it out, and who knows, maybe things work out for the best of us, you know.
For sure. Absolutely. Crazier things have happened. So speaking of kind of the guys coming up and stealing a job, is there any position that you think is really like, oh man, there's a guy you're looking at, oh, he could really steal a starting job right now? Zach mentioned the third wide receiver spot, which I thought was really cool. My pick is probably the slot position. I think that the young rookie out of Kansas State, Josh Hayes, that they drafted could steal that slot position from. I don't know who he steals it from because they don't really have a solidified guy at that role. But I think he could come in and really impress some people. And then because he's going to be given the opportunity because they lack bodies in that role, in that position. So why not do it? You know, why not go out there and just say, screw it. We got nothing to lose anyways. I'm a 6th-round pick. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I think that's kind of watch kind of to steal a position. But Zach, how about you? I know you mentioned the third wide receiver. Is there anyone specific that you're thinking to come up and kind of jump over Russell Gage in the depth chart?
The wide receiver out of was it Trey Palmer?
Yeah, Nebraska.
Yeah, Nebraska. Yeah, Trey Palmer, I think has probably the most potential to take a starting spot from somebody that we wouldn't expect. Like, obviously, I think that if Yaya comes in and takes a spot from JTS, we're not shocked.
Right.
Or Logan Hall. Like, it's not a surprise. But I think that if Trey Palmer comes in and takes the spot from Russell Gage, I think that would be something where we're like, whoa, what just happened?
Right.
I think he's got potential to be very good, and I mentioned that on the draft show. He's going to be a very solid piece potentially. Like, I'm optimistic, but I'm not putting all my eggs in that basket. So that's my pick is Trey Palmer.
Absolutely. The Trey Palmer pick is interesting. Musab, how about you? Is there another spot that you're looking at that maybe someone comes in and kind of surprises some people and steals a job?
No, I'd probably say like the third wide receiver is probably like the best one I can think of, to be honest, other than Yaya Diaby. You know, that one is, again, as Zach mentioned, I'm not going to be super shocked either, but I mean, it's just something kind of spicy knowing that, you know, we were really hype about JTS at one point and we thought he was that guy, and, you know, perhaps Yaya could take his spot.
Yeah, that would be really fun to see because like y'all have been saying, or like we've been saying in general, JTS has been a bit of a disappointment. He had that 1st-round pick label, and he hasn't really done much with it, unfortunately. He's kind of seems to hit a plateau, which is a shame because he's super athletic. There haven't been any off-field problems or anything, so you know seems like a decent dude. I don't know. It's tough because you want to see guys succeed. Obviously, you never want to see anyone fail, especially in a Bucs uniform. But you know, it's tough. He hasn't really been taking advantage of, you know, the opportunity that he was given. JPP left and JTS kind of came in and was handed the keys. Hey, you and Shaq get after it, and he hasn't really done that. So it's been kind of tough. Sorry, go ahead, Zach.
Oh no, I was agreeing with you that he hasn't. I was saying no, like he hasn't done it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's been tough to see because a talented guy like him, it should be a bit easier for him, it seems like, but unfortunately, it's just not. So we're kind of coming towards the end of our episode. Wanted to thank y'all for tuning in and listening. We really appreciate y'all. Without y'all, we would just be sitting around talking about how disappointing JTS is for no reason. And, no one would really care. Feel free to hit that like and subscribe button if you enjoyed what you heard. Wherever you're listening to us, YouTube, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcast. Also, feel free to give us a follow on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at RBLR Sports. We also have a TikTok now. So definitely check us out there. Thank you again for tuning in. For me and my co-hosts, as always, go Bucs.
Go Bucs.
Go Bucs.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.